The Trap Blueprint on finding great company. 1, define the type of investor that you are. You got to understand who you are as an investor. Who you are. Am I a dividend investor? Am I a growth investor? Am I a value investor? Am I a combination of all three? And once you describe the type of investor you are, you got to then what type of returns that you want. So if you're a dividend investor, you're not going to be beating the market like that because you're focusing on dividends. Right? If you're a growth investor, you're not really going to get the dividends. If you're a value investor, you can get the return, but you may not always get the returns you want because you're always waiting on a discount. So understand, if I'm an income, understand the type of investor that you are. Next, you got to be willing to do your financial research. You want a company that has growth. You want a company that has profitability. You want a company that has cash on hand. You want a company that has strong financial health. And you want a company with a strong earning power. Right? Meaning they can consistently increase their earnings per share. You want a company that has growth. You want a company that has high profitabilities, which is why in Patreon and Trappers Anonymous, I always talk about 3 things: financial strength, profitability, growth, free cash flow. Those are the 4 things I'm always mention when I'm putting a company together. Boom. I need you to understand management. A great management has high ROIC. A great management has great ROA and ROE. Also can generate free cash flow. Also, you must understand how to value a business, and then that valuation allows you to understand the price you gotta pay for the brand. Whether we like it or not, we have been trained to be consumers. It's what they've trained us to do. So I see somebody in the chat saying, iPhone features equal 5-year-old Samsung features. But here's what we gotta realize. Where does Samsung get the concept of the touchscreen phone from? Right? So to beat a person that you've copied doesn't matter. Right? Especially if the Samsung stock been crashing for the last. Right? So even if they're coming up with the new features, it's not profitable for them as a company. They sell better TVs than they sell phones. You can't compete where you can't compare. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. But here's what I want you to understand and see. Apple's side business are better than your big dog's main business. Apple's side business is better than your big dog's main business. So watch this. Apple's side business, which is their services, they generated $23.1 billion last year alone. And Samsung and everybody else used the same chip. It ain't just Samsung chip. Everybody used the chip. It ain't just their chip. And that's the problem. They get people competing on something when they all do the same thing. They all barter services from each other. Every last one of them. So don't fall in love with a company. You want the company that's gonna make you the most money. I don't give a damn about the service. Is they gonna make me money? And if you compare Apple to Samsung, I can promise you made more money with Apple than you made with Samsung. Over the last year, 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, whatever. You're gonna invest. That's what I like to talk about. I like to talk about money. Don't get so caught up in the features, get caught up in the money, because that's what matters. When you get caught up in the features, you get caught up in the consumer mindset. When you get caught up in the features, you get caught up in the consumer mindset. You know why it's easy for me to buy Apple? Because I own over 400 shares of it. Now go ask the average Samsung person how much Samsung stock they own. Don't get caught up in the consumer mindset. Don't get caught up in the consumer mindset. But watch this. Main business, Netflix, MasterCard, NVIDIA, and EA Sports together only combine what Apple does with one part of its business alone. Let me say it again. Let me say it again. Let me say it again. Netflix, Microsoft, NVIDIA, the stock that's going crazy, and EA Sports combined revenues from last year only equal what one part of Apple business did in Q4. So I want us to understand something when I say this. Yes, Apple still has to innovate, and I got some stats for y'all today that's gonna be ugly. Watch this. Tesla is 5% from a bear market. Google is 5% away from, no, Tesla is in a bear market. Google is 5% away from a bear market. Apple is 5% away from a bear market, all while the S&P 500 is breaking down all-time highs. So what that's telling us right now is the market isn't dependent on Apple as the new dictator. It is right to say that even though Apple is still a powerhouse, it 100% needs to innovate. It 100% needs to innovate. Add juggernauts. So, as we move forward into the new world, I think there's some things that we need to look at, right? I was talking to a friend of mine today. They got a boutique, and she was saying how she's building her brand outside of Instagram and social media. And I said, you should build your brand outside of social media, but don't neglect social media. It is built for that. And when she said, that's where this come from. And I said, because you can use, I said, social media not going nowhere no time soon. Right? I'm not saying that they won't create something new, but we got to stop looking at it from a little perspective to a big perspective. Why is social media a big thing? Right? Let's start right there. Why is social media such a big giant? Because it allows companies to advertise in your, social media is a cash cow. It allows a few things to happen, Jose. It allows the world to push an agenda. It allows people, companies, to promote to audiences in their face. It allows companies to sell your information to other companies. Believe it or not, y'all, this is why the social media platforms aren't going to go anywhere. Because it's the easiest and quickest way to get your information and sell it. All right, let's think about this. Before social media, how was companies getting your information? They couldn't get it via television. So how was they getting our information and our data? Email. But think about this. Before email, how was they getting our information? It was hard. Phone book, it was hard, right? So social media made it easier to go direct to consumer. Now, here's what we got to realize. Google and Facebook are the engineers behind it. Google and Facebook became the engineers behind it. Why? Gmail. Facebook didn't have a business model at first. Facebook didn't go public until the business model became advertisement. Once the business model became advertisement, now we can say, this is how we're generating money. And then when we become the biggest, when we become the brand with the most users, what do we do with all this data? This becomes the gold mine. How else, Microsoft, how else do you as a brand want to get in front of people? I got their data already. I got their name, I got their email, and I got everything about them. I got the habits, I got what they like to look at, I like what they like to talk. So now everybody comes in cahoots. Why they come in big cahoots? Google says, I got the search engine. Google says, I got the search engine. Whether you searching porn, whether you searching jewelry, whether you searching a vacation, whether you searching slippers, whatever you secretly trying to hide the search, guess what? I got it. And guess what I'm going to do? Such and such, such and such. You want to buy this information? Here. He's searching this. Here. She's searching this. Here. Whatever you searching, we got it. I'm going to sell it to you. This is why Google don't mind paying Apple to be the number 2 search engine next to Chrome, next to Safari. You know why? Because everything you search, I got your cookies, and I'm going to sell them. And then what does Facebook say? I got 3 billion users. There's only 8 billion people in the world. I got almost half the people in the world on all of my sites. Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger. I got them. Now Threads. 4 of my sites are in the top 10. 4 of my sites are in the top 10 most used social media apps. 4 of them. I'm going to sell you these ads. I'm going to sell your information. So look at this. Biggest advertisement. Google at 39%, Meta at 18%, Amazon at 7%, and then TikTok is at 3%, and then Baidu, which is Chinese, is at 2%, and then everything else goes a little further, smaller. But why does Apple not have to be in the top? Because it is the apparatus that's most used. It is the device that's most used. So now when you get the iPhone, even though I say I want to privacy protect, I really don't care. You know why? Because the App Store is the greatest business model ever to hit the face of the earth. Steve Jobs created the phone. Once we created the App Store, it's a done deal. Now, even though those users on the App Store fought and got the percentage down from 30% to something else, think about it. Bro, I'm getting 30%. I'm getting 30% for you being on the real estate of my phone. That's all. That's digital real estate. With 2.5 billion users. I'm lying, 1.8 billion users. Across the world. And they just put a store in India. So they about to infiltrate over there too. Social media not going nowhere.